All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're looking at the really strange case of a 1988 movie called Miracle Mile. Now, this thing was a total box office disaster, but somehow, against all the odds, it's become this incredibly beloved, obsessed over cult classic. So, our job today, we're going to investigate exactly how that happened. To really get this film, you have to start at its absolutely brutal end. This line right here, this is one of the final things you hear, as the main characters are literally sinking into the La Brea tar pits while a nuclear attack is happening. It's so bleak, so jarring, and it perfectly sets the tone for the wild ride we're about to dissect. So that brings us right to the central mystery. This movie was a commercial failure. I mean, it barely made $1 million. And yet, today it has this passionate, super dedicated following. How? Well, we're going to treat this like a forensic case file, and we're going to examine all the evidence piece by piece. First up, our first piece of evidence, the production itself. The story behind how Miracle Mile even got made is almost as dramatic as the movie, and it really all boils down to one person's absolute refusal to compromise. Okay, so this script was basically a legend in Hollywood for a solid decade before anyone even filmed it. It was originally an idea for Twilight Zone the movie, and it got passed around and praised as this amazing but unfilmable screenplay. And what was the problem? Well, everybody loved the story, but they absolutely hated its dark, downer ending. And this is where it gets crazy. The director, Steve DeJarnot, had already sold the rights, but every studio kept telling him, you gotta change the ending, make it happier. So you know what he did? He used $25,000 of his own money he'd made from another job, to buy his own script back. It was this huge gamble, all to protect the soul of his story. And this just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have the studios wanting a safe commercial movie, let's make the nuclear war a bad dream or a false alarm. But DeJarnot's vision was completely non-negotiable. The threat is real, there is no way out, and yep, everybody dies. He stuck to his guns, and that one decision is pretty much the bedrock of the film's entire cult status. Okay, let's move on to the next piece of evidence, the setting. See, the film isn't just set in Los Angeles. It uses the city's actual geography as a major character, turning just a few city blocks into this claustrophobic, inescapable trap. The location here is absolutely not an accident. The whole story starts and ends at the La Brea Tar Pits, a real place in LA filled with the bones of ancient mammoths and saber-toothed cats, all preserved in tar. This constant looming reminder of extinction just hangs over the entire story right from the very first scene. Now for one of the most famously weird scenes in the movie. Right before our hero, Harry, finds out the world is about to end, he spends $1,200 on a tank of live lobsters. Why? Just to set them free as some grand romantic gesture. It is this perfect, absurd blend of love, dark comedy, and just the sheer futility of our plans when doom is right around the corner. So we've got a defiant director and a super symbolic setting. The next exhibit in our case file is the fan base itself, because the way people connect with this movie is, well, it's pretty unique. People who've studied this fan base have actually identified something they call the Miracle Mile Syndrome, and it describes how these diehard fans literally see the world differently. To them, a regular old street corner in LA isn't just a street corner. No, it's a key landmark on the map of a nuclear apocalypse. I mean, take the lobster reflex. For a regular person, hearing a dollar amount makes you think about money. For a fan, it triggers an immediate association with Harry's hopelessly romantic gesture. This is what makes cult followings so powerful. Fans create these personal rituals around the movie's quirkiest details, and it turns just watching a movie into this active, shared experience. This obsession can even change how fans watch other movies. One fan talked about seeing an old film where characters escape over a mountain pass, but because of Miracle Mile's LA setting, all they could picture was a total nightmare traffic jam on the 405 freeway. The film's anxiety literally rewrites their internal map of cinema. It's wild. So let's keep building this case. Our investigation now uncovers a really surprising connection, a historical echo, you could say, that adds this whole other layer of meaning to the film's cult status. Film buffs and historians often pair Miracle Mile with a 1940 anti-Nazi movie called The Mortal Storm. And when you look at them side by side like this, the parallels are just stunning. In both movies, a massive global catastrophe interrupts a brand new romance. Both of them feature a desperate and ultimately failed escape. And just look at the outcome. Total tragedy.
This connection elevates Miracle Mile. It puts it into this larger, important cinematic tradition about personal lives just being crushed by the weight of history.
And all of this brings us to our final section, and honestly, the most critical piece of evidence in this entire case. It all comes back to that ending.
So here's the thing. The heroes make it. They get on the helicopter. For just a second, the audience thinks, oh my God, they're going to be okay. It's the classic last-minute Hollywood rescue. But then, the film just brutally rips that hope away. An electromagnetic pulse from the blast fries the chopper, and it crashes right back where the whole story started, into the tar pits. As they're sinking into the tar, Harry comforts Julie with this absolutely incredible line. He says that the intense heat and pressure from the nuclear blast is going to turn their bodies into diamonds. It's this perfect moment of what people have called grim romanticism, a way of reframing their own horrific death into something beautiful, something eternal. And that right there, that is the real genius of this movie, and it's why it hits people so hard. The real tragedy isn't the nuclear annihilation of Los Angeles. It's the fact that these two people, who have just fallen head over heels for each other, won't get to have a second date. The film makes the apocalypse feel devastatingly, heartbreakingly personal.
So in the end, that's the verdict on the Miracle Mile phenomenon. It became a masterpiece not in spite of its bleakness, but because of it. It refused to give us an easy out, and that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. What if the films that truly last forever aren't the ones that help us escape reality, but the ones that give us the courage to stare right at it?